Hey everybody, how's it going? Bret Mix here, Macho Wrestling 101. Hit like and subscribe if you like my content. I produce the history of wrestling every day. Plus, I stick up to date with Raws, SmackDowns, and all that good stuff. Today we're talking about the top 10 matches in the history of Bret Hart's career. Making a list like this is really hard when he's got so many classic matches. But I've narrowed them down to just 10. See if you agree with me. Sound off in the comment section if you do or if you don't. Starting in at number 10, well, I gotta have an honorable mention. Just one honorable mention's fair. That's what I did for Steve Austin when I did his top 10. You can find that video on my channel just a couple days ago. I'm going to put the SummerSlam match with the Bulldog and Bret as the honorable mention. I know, right? You would think that match would be on there, but no, I believe there was 10 better ones. So that's the honorable mention from SummerSlam 92 at Wembley Stadium, where he lost to the Bulldog with a sunset flip pinning combination. The 10th match is Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart from SummerSlam 91. His big match at Madison Square Garden in front of his parents, Stu and Helen. Bret Hart was quoted as saying if that could have been the end of his career, he would have been fine. He would have been completely content knowing that he accomplished that match. He was just a proud moment in his career, but we all know he went on to do a lot better. Number 9. His match with Chris Benoit at the Owen Hart tribute match. That's as good of a scientific wrestling match as you'll see, and I think that he really put together a match that would be special for Owen. He knew what Owen liked better than anyone else, so he said that match was special, and it was just for him, and it was done in the exact way he would have wanted it. So it makes me think that if Owen was still alive and he was in WCW, that's the type of match we would have been getting regularly between the two. You gotta wonder, you gotta think of that possibility. That would have been amazing. Number 8 on the list is Bret Hart versus The Undertaker from England. This is in the UK at one night only. This match had a bad finish, but not every match back then had a clean finish, so you can overlook that and just realize that these guys went to war. These guys put on a classic. It's the best Bret Hart Undertaker match there is. It beats out their SummerSlam encounter, which is also another good match. It beats out the Royal Rumble 96 encounter, which is also another good match. So that's just my phone going off, so don't have to check your phone. Next up, number 7, we have the Canadian Stampede main event. I had this on Austin's list, and I'm having this on Bret's list. LOD, Shamrock, Goldust, and Steve Austin took on Bret Hart, Brian Pillman, Jim Neidhart, and Owen Hart and the Bulldog in Calgary 1997, a 10-man tag, which Owen Hart got the pinfall victory over Steve Austin. Just the crowd shook. It was in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, at Canadian Stampede. The crowd shook, the camera shook. It was just intense, and just a great 10-man tag. Probably the best 10-man tag ever. Easily the best 10-man tag ever, I should say. I don't think that there could be one that would compete with that, except there have been some good Survivor Series matches, but that's easily the best one. Bret Hart versus Diesel. This is some match that some might not have here, but at Survivor Series 1995 was my favorite of the trio. We all know they've met at King of the Ring 94. They met at Royal Rumble 1995, and they met at Survivor Series 95. So of that trio, I like Survivor Series the best, Royal Rumble second best, and not very far off. Just the finish of the Royal Rumble is the reason I picked the Survivor Series. It had the clean finish. Bret Hart playing possum to Diesel, who took his time with the jackknife powerbomb. Bret Hart got him in a little inside cradle and defeated him for the WWF title. That was such a good moment. All right, now we're looking at the top 5. And Bret also fought Diesel in Your House Rage in the Cage, but that was a good match, but not worthy of this list. When we get into the top, we're getting into the top 5 here. Bret Hart, that's my damn phone again, going off. But we're getting into the top 5. But number 6 is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret the Hitman Hart from Survivor Series 1996. This match is the fifth best. Yeah, that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I thought I was at the top 5. Yes, Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin from Survivor Series 1996. Sorry about that. That's the match. That's the match that really put Austin on the map for Madison Square Garden. Yeah, what else can we say? It was amazing. It was flawless. That's why I have it at 5 stars. But other people might not have that at 5 stars, but I do. Number 4, Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart at King of the Ring 1993. Another flawless match. I rate 5 stars. Second round King of the Ring match. On the same night, he had Classics versus Razor Ramon and Bam Bam Bigelow at the same time, but he still found time to have a flawless match with Kurt Hennig. King of the Ring, the whole event, King of the Ring '93 is one to watch. And number 2, Owen Hart versus Bret Hart, the opening match at WrestleMania 10. Two brothers going at it in a great feud, kicking off WrestleMania from the Garden, and as Jim Ross says in Dark Side of the Ring. Two brothers, they come to the Garden, they put on a show, and it's one match he'd watch again. Yeah, and it's a good reason. It's 5 stars, and it's the best opening match of all time. And number 1, of course, because it's number 1 on my list for all matches, is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 13. The greatest match in history, in my opinion, because it shaped history, and it was a moment in time. And I don't think you'll ever get two guys with better chemistry that will go to war in the same sense that these two went to war. I have yet to see two guys in a ring go to war like those two. And that's something you can't deny. You can say that maybe that match is second best to... What are you going to say it's second best to? Maybe The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania? Sure. But you have to admit, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels went to war... Not as much as Austin and Bret went to war. You can like that match better. You can rate that match better. But you have to admit, Austin and Bret, from the sound of the bell to the moment Austin was unconscious, complete warfare. And if you don't believe me, maybe just watch it again and you'll see that. That's why it shaped the wrestling industry. It made Austin a babyface. He took off like nobody before him as the babyface, and he became the hottest babyface ever. And it turned Bret heel, and then Bret went on one of his best runs ever too. So those are the top 10 matches in the history of Bret the Hitman Hart. I'm Macho Wrestling 101. Hit like and subscribe once again, and we'll talk to you again soon.